December 15th, the roof start to lift. And within the lifting of the roof, the back of the roof, you could hear it slapping. So my daughter and son got bumped by, so we was hiding underneath the bunk bed, trying to stop it because rain was already coming in, so we was trying to get a little cover from the rain. Then it started to lift even higher and slam down. So by slamming down, my brother said we gotta leave in here. So my aunt lived 2 throwing stores away. She said, come, she got a door open. So between running by my aunt, me and my daughter and my son run first. So between running there, after we look back, the roof was on the ground.
We watched the house start. All them they running, we watched the house start coming out. And it went scotch up in the breadfruit tree. Then seal the breadfruit tree, scotch up in the apple tree, and stand up upright. And then when the last rain passed, that military don't go out yet. When we try to get the path where that we passed, then it fall down flat down on the ground. That's how it was. And we was very scared because we never experienced nothing like that yet.
On Friday the 2nd of July, Hurricane Elsa would have passed approximately 20 miles south of Barbados at just about 7:30 in the morning. Wind speeds definitely started to increase after 7 around 7:30 as the system began to intensify. So it's within that time period and within an hour we were experiencing very, very strong winds. So with the center passing, the eye of Hurricane Elsa passing just to the south of Barbados, that would have placed us within the eye wall area where we get the strongest winds, and that would have been more to the southern part of the island, Christchurch, St. Philip, St. George, St. Michael, whilst St. Lucia and the northern parts, they would have had strong winds as well, but not as strong as the southern parishes would have experienced.
I was not very comfortable to start with, so on the day before I did do my preparations. I packed my overnight bag, my important documents, and then like around after 7, I started to hear some rumbling, and this is what was making breakfast. And like a couple of seconds after that, the roof just started to take off, and I don't even know how to articulate it, but I was terrified. That's the best word I can use. I was completely terrified. It was me and my grandmom, and I had to be as strong as I can to get her out. I was on the phone with my uncle at the same time. When he called me at the same time it was happening. So he was able, he was close by, so he was able to come over and I got into my vehicle and we drove by him through everything. I just kind of asked my grandmom to get what she needed. She's elderly, so I asked her to get what she needed, and with the roof falling in and flying all over the place, we just held it together and stepped over to step over and exit as best as we can.
But in the morning when I get up, I know I get up and have a bath of drive, so I went back to sleep. So I did. Packing your clothes and the garbage bag and case, you know. And then I went and lay back down. And then about 6 o'clock, I hear the wind start ripping and ripping and ripping. So I get up, I had on my clothes, everything. All I can see the house start blowing, so all the things. I hit the sofa and like, oh no, I quite flying up in the air like that there. Woof! I ain't going to over the road there. So I glad enough that the car jumped past and around to damage it. You could see the whole top there. Me and her and she boyfriend drag it from my property there, so I still glad I got life.
I called him to ask if he okay out there, and he tell me no, the roof coming off, and then quick so it blew off, but he was still in there because that's where he sleeps. And then he tried to grab what he could, and then the whole structure just caved in. And from that on, he come down into this little shed that you see right here, right now. That's where he's staying until, you know, what can happen happens.
So we have hurricane force winds over 74 miles per hour. We would have experienced fallen trees, roofs blowing off, in some cases complete damage to homes. We also would have seen some electrical poles would have had significant damage or completely fallen, and power lines as well.
As a result of Hurricane Elsa impacting Barbados, we would have had significant social dislocation, requiring a section of the population to seek accommodation, alternate accommodation. At this point in time, we are also dealing with the disruption of services, utilities such as water and electricity. There have also been the disruption to businesses and other services. More so, we have had damage to our housing stock, a significant aspect of our housing stock. As of July 7th, the numbers, we have over 2,000 reported incidents in our official database. The roof damage is significant because we have at least 1,520 reports of roof damage. In terms of the total house collapse, I think we have 184 reports. Now there are other reports in terms of other types of housing damage, water damage, roof leaks, that type of thing. But all in all, the total, and note that we are still refining the database, the totals are over 2,000.
RDC currently is assisting after the initial damage assessment in two ways. Firstly, we're going to be helping to assess the properties in a more detailed damage assessment. And once that is done, we're also assisting in the repair of properties, house collapses, roof damage, general damage to houses. It has been decided that RDC will deal with all of the parishes outside of Christchurch, St. Michael and St. James. Currently, we have over 700 properties that have been assigned, but it's a fluid situation and the number keeps rising, and we expect that to take place probably for another week or so. Now, we've started work since the freak storm took place, and we're on the job in probably about 20 jobs right now we're on the job with. We're currently in the process of starting another 15 or 16 this week, and as every week progresses, that's what we aim to do.
Elsa would have formed or developed at a very low latitude, just below 10 degrees north. And with that west-northwesterly trajectory, it would have placed Barbados in the southern windwards within its path. Usually systems that form with a low latitude and have that west-northwesterly direction can be of a concern for Barbados and the southern windwards. With Thomas and Ivan, those were storms that would have started at a little lower latitude. So they would have followed the same principle in that they would have passed within the area of Barbados and the southern windwards, which would be a concern for us.
All I saying, praise God, I was alive. That I didn't there, and I went over there. But I know about, and Janet, I was about 4 years old, so I went through that experience already.
Well, to me, just the worst thing to America, we house stay on. And we only had a little bit of water. But to see how the top come on, we was a bit scared because we never experienced nothing like that yet. To see a top rip off flying in the air.
I know that usually the traditional active part of the hurricane season, people tend to focus on September and October, but as you see, a system can happen at any time, and this is one of the earliest systems that have ever impacted Barbados at any point in time in any particular hurricane season. So it is really important that persons adhere and focus on what they need to do to ensure that they are prepared. There is always room for improvement when it comes to preparation. You cannot be too prepared for anything. I think Barbadians will have to reflect on what has happened over the last couple of days and see how they can improve on their personal preparation, their family preparation, and even preparation within the community. Whether that be looking at improving their plans, their disaster management plans, taking a look at their property review and their insurance policies, and looking at their houses and see how best they can improve on the actual structure.
I felt like if I might have been 75% prepared, but what I can say is that I would never ever be 75% prepared again. I would be 210% prepared. That's what I can say. And I would let everyone know, I would advise everyone to don't take anything for granted. You have to prepare like if, because I felt like if it would never be me, you know, I would never have this experience. But you can't think like that. You have to think like it could be you. Honestly, I felt like I might have had challenges with the roof coming off, because there were some issues prior to the storm, and when we had the bad weather a couple days before, I noticed that we would definitely have major issues if there was a major storm coming. And I told my grandmom that we need to get to a shelter, but she, you know the people in the older generation, they kind of like tried to stay home, so she didn't want to leave. So, and then I couldn't leave her. I didn't want to leave her. So yeah, we did have some issues before, and I was afraid that it would lift off, and it did.
Yeah.
We did everything that we had to be done, but because of the wind that lift up the trimming piece, keep on lifting up the trimming piece. If we had spoiled nails that we could have nailed down the two sides, probably it would not have been so bad, but we didn't have no spoiled nails to nail down when we see it lifting up.
If you ain't see look, when it get on is lift up everything. So that's what happened. Before it lifting at the back, I think it would have hold up, but the back lifting, but you ain't got nothing above here to block off any of the wind. It's gone straight off, you see. So once the wind get on the eaves, that was the furthest part that happened. It was so bad, this lift up, where the roof was lifting, all this was lifting one thing.
Generally, I thought Barbadians did adhere to the messages. They monitored the airwaves, and I think they were very respectful of what they needed to do, and they knew what they needed to do, and they did it prior to. It is important that the Barbadians heed the various preparedness tips that the Department of Emergency Management and other agencies have placed in the public domain. Having your emergency kits, ensuring that your insurance policies are up to date, ensuring that around your properties you safeguard your properties and retrofit where needs be. It is equally important for you to adhere to a number of just having your supplies, your emergency management emergency supplies available to you. Having the non-perishable food items, and reducing the amount of perishable food items you may have stocked in your homes at any point in time, and especially during the hurricane season. So the information is out there. It is just for persons to internalize.
How prepared were you this hurricane season specifically for Hurricane Elsa?
Oh, wasn't prepared at all. I guess it catch me mostly like everybody else. It was a real surprise. It was even surprised the damage that it do.
Well, I think we were relatively prepared. We always have, canned foods, the water cart, batteries and everything like that. The only thing was our generator didn't work because we didn't check it before the storm came. So had we known we were going to be without power for like a week, we would have definitely had that, sorted. So I think people should really go out and make sure that they have everything sorted, even the most mundane things that you do all the time. Sometimes you think you have everything sorted, but then it's not, and you don't know until the disaster happens. So I think people really need to get a little bit more prepared. We always wait to the last minute. As you would have seen, the supermarkets had a lot of people, the gas stations, people were buying all the batteries. Hurricane season comes the same time every year. We know it's coming. We should be ready for it in January. Start shopping, start getting things ready, so by the time something happens, we're not caught, unprepared.
Honestly, I don't think very prepared or as prepared as they should be or should have been. I did check to make sure that we had food stuff. We did collect some water and so on at home, but in terms of having the light and gas for the generator and that stuff, I don't think that we really went the full 9 yards. We didn't board up and maybe didn't secure all of the things around the house as we should have, but thankfully we weren't as affected where I was, and that's in St. George, as other people were. So I would say I was lucky this time, luckier than others. We didn't lose any, we didn't have any damage to the home, but as I said, we weren't as prepared as I should have been. Had some canned foods.
We look at the structural preparation as a whole, but it can be broken down in parts. If you don't have much of a budget, you can probably start looking at your roof as the first option, probably introducing some hurricane straps, looking at the suitability of the members, if they're termite infested, changing out one or two at a time. Those kind of small fixes you can start with. A little siding board here, a little siding board there if it's wood wall construction. Looking at your windows, your door, you want to enclose the envelope you're living in. And I would encourage people, if you have a room in your house like a bathroom that has wall sides, you could probably look at casting a small concrete plinth over that and strengthening the door and the window, so that can be a safe home for you, a safe haven in the event you can't do anything more.
As we well know, based on what would have occurred over the last couple of days, the roof damage has been significant. It would call for persons to just probably have a structural engineer or even somewhat an artisan to really look with them at their properties to try to improve, to ensure that the structural integrity is what they need it to be at this point in time. They need to first do a survey of their homes, looking around their properties, ensuring that they have the requisite straps, the hurricane straps to strap down their roofs.
We already had a lot of canned foods, so that wasn't an issue. The only thing that would have really played a downfall was the loss in electricity. So being able to really keep those meats there, just getting ice. But yeah, that's about it. But we were prepared.
In my opinion, I don't think there's much preparations you can do to outdo Mother Nature. You can do the most fixing up, the most battering up, and despite how much you do, when the weather hits, it hits. I had already had stuff at home booked up and built already, so it wasn't really a rush for me, and it didn't really affect me in any way per se. I didn't have any problems at home. The only problem I had was after, basically. which was the electricity. I still had my water and stuff like that, but the electricity took at least 5 to 6 days to return back.
One thing I hope that Barbadians would learn from this experience is that we cannot be complacent. Many times we say, oh, a system's coming, but we're not going to get anything from it. But this is hurricane season, and we have to be prepared for anything. Whether it does or does not happen, we have to be prepared for anything. And because over the last couple of years, we would not have experienced anything to this extent, it doesn't mean that it cannot happen, because it did happen. And between now and the end of the hurricane season, you have to be prepared for anything. We can be complacent. Continue to monitor the Barbados Met Service for any alerts, and even if it's just simply checking your forecasts every morning to get an idea of what the weather is going to be like today and what it's going to be like over the next few days. You can use the app. You can download it on your phone. You can check the barbadosweather.org website. You can check our social media pages or call. Just always be aware of what the weather is and what is expected to be, because once you know, you can be prepared. If you don't know, then you don't know what to expect.
It really hurt my heart, though. It hurt my heart to see that it just gone down there, and oh my Lord. I hope to see something like a start, because the sun just said, see when people get there and measure up from here. I pray to God. I better come back and do anything. So I just said to myself, if people come to do any little thing here, I want to build a good structure there. You know, put it something like that thing there, and make some good firm round ceiling, make everything straps and rafters and everything, and make everything right. So that's all I got there what it was.
I would like the roof to put back on and for it to be stable. And once it's stable and it's back on, we can do the rest ourselves. Just the roof to be back on and be strong, that we can go forward.
The RDC is constantly on the ground. Everybody is involved now because it is a storm, a hurricane, but we are constantly on the ground and we know the situation people are living in. But I can tell you that I know for a fact many of our Barbadian citizens out there are strong people for what they are constantly living in. And it's that strength that we are relying on to keep them until we can get there. And I can say to you, I'm not in your situation and I know it must be difficult. However, we are endeavoring as best as it's possible.